Okay, I got you. Wise as a serpent, but peaceful as a dove.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm on
There
that.
we go.
I'm on that same time. Okay, so we've been like taking an in-depth look into like controversial doctrines. We've been doing that all year, and we
Okay.
have we had already did Christmas. We know that's a pagan holiday. Some people track it back to the Romans, but we went as far as the Babylonians, which is in Jeremiah chapter 2. If you're familiar with what it says there about.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, so we was able to track that way back to the Babylonians. So this is an old ancient pagan holiday. So, but recently we've been
Agreed.
talking about the Immaculate Conception. So we look at the good and the bad. We don't try to act like everything lines up with scriptures. Like we try to be honest with ourselves. Okay, some things don't line up exact, even though we hold to it. We try to admit when it's some things just doesn't, and vice versa. Like we hold to, okay, if you're against it, we say, hey, but these passages look like it's pointing towards it. So how do you fare with the Immaculate Conception?
Um, I went to theology school, so the Immaculate Conception, as it's originally taught, is the birth of Mary,
Right.
more so than more
Oh,
so than baby Jesus.
okay. So when we say it, we're talking about from a virgin birth perspective.
Okay. Okay.
So do you agree with that perspective, the virgin birth?
Um, I believe she probably was a virgin when she met her husband, maybe.
Well, that's how most virgins meet their husband. Are you
Right.
do you have a Bible on you?
Mm-hmm.
What translation do you prefer?
King James.
Okay. Yeah, standard. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know the other Bibles they read a little differently. It doesn't even hit the same when you read from other versions. Okay, so when you look at Luke 1, if you can just flip to Luke 1, right? And if you flip to Luke 1, you'll see that verse 7. So let me know when you got verse 7.
I'm there.
Okay, so verse 7 says, it's talking about Elizabeth and Zacharias. It says they had no child, and it gives you the reason why they didn't have a child. It says they had no child because Elizabeth was barren, and they both were now. So now it talks about both of them. They both were well stricken. It says Elizabeth was barren, and they both were now well stricken. So the reason was the barren, and then it goes on to like further dig the grave deeper. It said that they were now well stricken years. So as a result, verse 13 tells us that the angel came to Zacharias and said, your prayer has been heard, and that your wife Elizabeth shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name John. Okay, so what I'm trying to point out is that Luke is telling us that Zachariah and Elizabeth cannot have a kid because Elizabeth was barren. She was the problem, and then ultimately they both became the problem. And then Zacharias is praying. You know, people want to leave seed behind them to carry on the generation. So he's praying the Most High, don't forget about him, to like leave him, bless him with a seed, something like Hannah. So the Most High blessed Zacharias to have a son because the angel said, "Hey man, your prayer has been answered. It's going to happen." So if you just go to verse 24, this is the fulfillment of the prayer. It says, and after those days, his wife Elizabeth conceived and hid herself 5 months, right? So that's the point. The point is that she conceived. So this is past tense. Conceived has a D on it. So this is past tense. This is different from Mary. So this is past tense. It's already done. And now she's 5 months pregnant. So when you go to verse 27 just talks about that same angel is coming to Mary, who's a virgin, who's espoused to David from the house of David. I'm sorry, espoused to Joseph from the house of David. Excuse me. So now the angel's going to give Mary pretty much the same message that the angel gave Joseph. It says, "And behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb and bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Jesus." So that's pretty much what the angel told Zacharias, that your woman should be pregnant and it told him how to name the kid, right? Are you following so far?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So now verse 34 is like when things get interesting. Okay. Verse 34, when Mary was told about the prophecy, she responded like this. She said, "How shall this be? Like, how, what are you talking about? How am I going to have a child? How am I going to be pregnant if I never had sex?" So remember, Elizabeth's problem was she can't have a child because she's barren. Mary, that ain't Mary's problem. Mary's problem is I'm a virgin. And she said, "How shall this be?" Now we know she knows how to have a baby because she's espoused to Joseph. She knows sex and kids come with espousals. After espousal, you did. Sex consummates the marriage. So she wants to know, how I'm gonna be pregnant if I never had sex. Because she said, "Sing, I know not a man." Now that phraseology in the Bible is when either you did not have sex or you had sex. That phraseology. So the angel said to her, and this is the interesting verse that people look past. And the angel answered unto her and said, "The Holy Ghost shall come upon thee." So the Holy Ghost, you could say the Holy Spirit or the Spirit of the Lord. Okay, so but it's coming from God. And the power of the highest. So not only the Spirit from God, but the power from God is going to overshadow thee. So just keep in mind, Brother Dean, it doesn't say Joseph, it says God. The Spirit of God and the power of God is going to come to Mary. Therefore, so this is saying afterwards, by that happening, that holy thing which shall be born of you shall be called the Son of God. So because the process is coming by way of God and not Joseph, your son shall be called a product of God, the Son of God, if you can follow. So verse 36, and I ended there. So verse 36 says, "And behold," wait, I forgot to add, got to hold in one thing. So verse 31, remember it said in verse 24, it says that Elizabeth did, it said Elizabeth conceived, had the EED. So that means that it already happened. She had the ED, it already happened. But for Mary, it didn't say it already happened. It said, verse 31, it says, "And behold, Mary shall conceive." So there's no ED there. So the angel is saying this is something to happen. It did not happen already. You agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah, because if you just have it as conceive or cook or shoot, if you will, like if they say, "Hey, you're gonna cook, you're gonna shoot," that means it didn't happen yet. But if they say you cooked, you killed, you shot, that's past tense. So the ed in conceive means past tense. Without the ed, it means it didn't happen yet. So Mary is told that her conception has not happened yet in verse 31, but it will happen, right? So when you read verse 36, look at the word conceive again with the ed. So the angel is talking to Mary about Elizabeth's conception. So it says, "And behold, thy cousin Elizabeth, she have also conceived." You see the word conceived there, ed, "a son." So Mary's told that her cousin has already conceived a son in her whole age, and this is the 6th month with her, who is called barren. So, and then tops it off with she's 6 months pregnant. So before I get your take on this, do we agree that verse 36, the angel is communicating to Mary that Elizabeth has already conceived by the CONCEIVED? That means pad your, it's already done. Can you see that?
That she's pregnant already, you mean?
Okay, so so the angel's talking to Mary, and the angel said, "And behold, your cousin Elizabeth, she had also conceived." So Mary's being told that her cousin Elizabeth is already pregnant by the word conceived with the ed. That's past tense. I'm talking about that part. Do we agree with that?
Right, yeah, we said the same thing.
Okay. And there's a son in her old age, and this is the 6th month with her, who was called barren. So, brother, that verse that you agree with, that is the verse that established that the Immaculate Conception is real. So if you agree with 36, then you agree with the Immaculate Conception, essentially.
I think you should probably change it from Immaculate Conception.
Oh, it's a virgin birth.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Oh, okay,
that
okay, I
that
got
that
you.
throws the scholarly types off.
I got you. So,
Yeah.
so verse 36, if you agree that Elizabeth has already conceived, then you pretty much agree that the virgin birth is true, that Mary was pregnant before she got with Jesus. If you agree with 36.
How do they tie in the same?
Huh?
How are you tying these together?
Okay. So are you looking at 36?
Yeah.
Can you read that? Maybe you'll see if you read it.
And behold, thy cousin Elizabeth, she hath also conceived a son of her old age, and this is the 6th month with her, who was called barren.
Okay, so do you read that Mary's also pregnant there?
No.
Okay. So when it reads, and behold, thy cousin Elizabeth, she hath also conceived. Brother, also is inclusive to somebody else. So the angel's establishing Elizabeth had conceived, but who is the also pointing to? Do you see it now?
um, I mean, I see the English semantics of it all. Yeah.
Well, how about this? That's in every translation. If you go get a translation, it's going to include somebody else. So it doesn't matter which English translation you get; they're all going to include another person conceiving,
I
past
mean,
tense.
I get that. I get that part. It's just,
Right.
you know, any pretty much anything can be said. Like I could say her cousin next door was pregnant, or her auntie across the street was pregnant also.
Yeah, but okay, right. You could say that, but if you go with context, so the context, there was two pregnancies foretold. There was Elizabeth and there was Elizabeth. There was not. I'm sorry. There was Elizabeth and Mary, not the next door neighbor. So you would be. So if you add the next door neighbor, that would be you adding to the Bible. That's called an eisegesis. So there's two
Not
pregnancies
necessarily.
foretold. Go ahead.
Not necessarily. I mean, you need the context. You need the time, the space, the
Right.
geographical location. What
So
else was going on? Like, there are things going on around this story.
right, but I'm saying from Luke 1, verse 1 all the way to 36, we only read about two pregnancies being foretold, right? Or did we read about three or four? You would say only two was foretold, right? Or what do you think?
Yeah, only two of them. But
Right. So if only two pregnancies are foretold and the angel is talking, the angel only talked to two people. The angel talked to Elizabeth. I'm sorry, the angel talked to Zacharias and it talked to Mary. Just two people only. And the angel is telling, okay, for example, if I'm talking to you and I'm talking, like, let's say I'm your boss and you have a coworker that you work with on a special assignment, and I'm telling you something that's going to happen to you. And I say, hey, your coworker has already, or I'm sorry, your coworker also received the raise. So you would think, so it would be common sense. Okay, I must be the other also because you're just talking to me and my coworker. So the angel's only talking to Zacharias and Mary. So when the angel become inclusive on another pregnancy, like Mary understands this is pointing to her. But let's say,
no, I agree. It's pointing to her, but
yeah, but it's a past tense
I mean,
conception though.
we could say we. I mean, I would be even as bold as saying that the angel speaking it and Mary receiving it was enough for conception.
I
So,
okay,
I mean,
I can agree with that.
I think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, I could agree with that. All right, okay. So not to like dwell on that too much, let me bring you to Matthew's 1. Let me know when you're there. I got something interesting here as well.
There.
Okay, so Matthew verse 1 and Matthew chapter 1 verse 1 says, the book of the generation of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. So you agree that this is speaking about the generation of Jesus Christ.
Sure.
Now, how many generations total is speaking about?
I don't know,
So
20,
let's go to
30
verse
or so.
17. Let's go to verse 17. So verse 17 says, so all the
28.
generations from Abraham to David are 14 generations. And from David to Babylon, 14. From Babylon to Jesus Christ, 14. So altogether, it's 42 generations, right? So if you notice that verse 17 talks about generations plural, 42. Verse 1, it talks about generation. So basically, Jesus Christ's generation is included in the 42 generations. So there are 42 generations total, including Christ. So that's all Matthew wants you to know. That verse 1 talks about Jesus' generation in specific, but there's 42 others. And verse 2 is the first generation. It says Abraham begot Isaac. That's the first generation. Isaac begot Jacob is the second, and Jacob begot Judas. And if you do that all the way down to David begot Solomon, that's literally 14 generations. And if you do King David to Babylon, that's 42. I mean 14, sorry. And if you do Babylon and Jesus, 14. So it's literally 14 generations three times, three separate ways. So the generation here is counted father begot son or parent begot parent or parent gave birth to parent. So all you need for a generation is a parent and offspring. That's a generation because you have somebody to live on if you go. If somebody does not have a offspring, they don't have a generation. There's nobody to live on if they pass away. So in the Bible, it talks about many people who died and did not have kids. Um, so let me ask you this. So when it says Abraham begot Isaac, you agree Abraham is Isaac's father, right?
Yeah.
So in verse 2, it says Abraham begot Isaac. What key word lets you know that Abraham is the father in that passage?
Begat.
Right. So begot is the verb. Verbs are action words. So what is communicating to me and you is that Abraham was active in order for Isaac to be born. He was active. Isaac was active for Jacob to be born. So you have to be active sexually for your child to be born. So verse 2 and it goes all the way down to 16. So 16 is the last active birth. So it says Jacob begot Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Jesus, who was called Christ. So verse 16 it says Jacob begot Joseph. We know Jacob was active sexually to beget Joseph. And Mary, it says, of whom was born Jesus. So Mary gave birth to Jesus, women give birth, men don't, who is called Christ. So verse 16, is there any words that suggest Joseph that you see that Joseph is the father of Jesus?
Yeah.
What word?
Husband.
No, okay, so Zacharias and Elizabeth were husband and wife, and they didn't have any kids. So marriage doesn't mean kids. Marriage just means marriage. It means a union between a man and a woman. It doesn't mean you have kids. So I was asking about a father word or a parent word. Is there a parent word that shows Joseph is the father of Jesus in verse 16?
Yeah, I'm just going back to husband.
So if you're married, that means you have kids.
Everybody that's married, yeah, they aiming at it some kind of way.
Okay, so let me bring you back to Luke chapter 1, verse 7. Zacharias and Elizabeth had no kids because she was barren, but they're married. So, uh, did they have kids or no?
And the prayer that was for them was that they, be like
Yeah,
everybody
that
else.
they can have kids later. But I'm saying, but I'm saying at some point were they married with no kids?
That's everybody. Well, it should be.
No, but brother, all I'm pointing out is okay. How about and Tamar? Were they married?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Judah's son that was wicked, and the Lord slew him. So when Judah's son his oldest son, married Tamar, right? And remember, the Lord slew because he was wicked. Did they have any kids?
I don't recall.
Okay, so let me just bring that to you real fast. I'm gonna go to Genesis 38 and 6. Watch this.
I mean, I think the exceptions prove the rule. That it's a common thing for a husband to be
Nah, no. So,
looked upon as
okay,
father, or
look,
that's the aim, become father.
right. That's the aim, but it doesn't. Okay, what I'm saying is this. Okay, you're saying something that's untrue. You're saying marriage means you have a kid. That's false. I can show you about 50 scenarios where you
I
have a
said having
married.
children is the aim.
I know. I
Like
understand the
like
aim.
just like it was the prayer of Zechariah and them. It was for
Right, right,
them
right.
to be
No, no.
like everyone else.
Okay, okay. So
So
brother,
it's
what
the
you're
aim.
doing, right? I got it. My aim is to be a millionaire, brother, but I'm not a millionaire
No,
yet.
I mean your aim is to point the conversation in a certain way, and I get it.
No,
But
no,
you
no, no,
asked me a
no,
question.
brother. I'm
Is there
not
any
point,
word? And yes, to
brother.
me the word is husband. So I mean, you
So
can try to get me off of it all you want, but it's
wait,
husband
wait,
to
wait,
me.
wait. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Now watch this. Watch this. So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back.
Exceptions will prove the rule. So go
Yeah,
ahead with the
yeah,
exceptions,
but
but they
I
prove
just
the
asked you
rule.
a simple. Okay, so but what you're doing is you're like adding to the text and you're going backwards. You acknowledge the word begot, establish a sexual action to produce a child. Abraham begot Isaac, and every father from Abraham down, even to Jacob, begot Joseph. Even Joseph was produced by a sexual verb begot. No question. When it gets to Joseph, let me ask you this way. When it gets to Joseph, does it read Joseph begot Jesus in verse 16?
Man, do you read Hebrew and Greek, bro?
What tools would you use to like establish the Greek and Hebrew?
I mean, you could use a concordance
Okay. So which one? Blue letter?
or Strong's, like whatever concordance you
Yeah,
got.
yeah.
You
So
might
the blue
you
letter
sound
has
like
strong.
another that got the books. You got the old school book.
Okay. All right. I'll do that. So give me a second, and you could guide me to where you want me to take me. I'm open. Like again, I'm open. I'm not somebody who feel like I'm beyond reproof. So let me just say that right from the door. Okay. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be honest. So when you point something out to me, I'm not going to play games with you and say husband means you have kids. I'm going to be flat out honest to you about what you point out to me. Okay. So what do you want to show me in the strong? So I'm here in blue letter,
You can look at generations and generation, and
right?
go to the origin of what they're talking about
Right.
versus the pool of what they're talking about.
Right. So generation, there's
Like
42
so,
generations. So we already know a generation is man begot son or mother give birth to kid. So we already know, okay, so generation is done. All right. So then we have Genesis, right? In verse 17, it talks about in verse 17, no, is it 17? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So in 17, it talks about that's generations. So genealogy. I mean, okay, so in Matthew's 1, we have genealogy and we have generations. So which one of these point to Joseph being a father of Jesus? Is what I'm trying to understand.
the whole chapter.
Okay, so brother, I'm gonna ask you again because you asked me to go to the Strongs or the Greek and the Hebrew. Brother, I don't care how you show me. If you want to do the Greek, Hebrew, it's fine. I will accept it. I want to
The
just be able
whole
to read plainly that Joseph begot Jesus. Is that possible?
in chapter 1, you're gonna
Right.
read the origin. Like this is the everything of who this man is, this Messiah.
Where you read that at?
That's in verse 1.
Nah, verse 1 says the generation, but there's 42 of them. So this is plural. This is singular. This is the book of the generation, singular, of Jesus Christ. Nothing about this say everything about he's one of 42. And then verse 2
Nah,
talks about Abraham, Isaac, Judas, Phares, Ram, a bit of that. So it talks about other people besides Jesus. So it don't come to Jesus till verse, he gotta wait
but
his turn. Verse 16, it talks
so
about Jesus.
for the verses you took me to, verse 17 versus verse 1, these
Right.
have two different words for generation.
Nah, it's okay. So what in the what are you looking at? In the Strongs?
Sure.
Okay, so in verse 1 it says Genesis, right?
Mm-hmm.
So break it down.
This is the source, right, of this Messiah.
Okay,
This is
look.
this is going to be everything that he's made up of.
Okay, what I need you to do is show me the Joseph connection.
Well, you asked me to do one thing, you would interrupt that
No, no,
and
no, no.
demand another
Okay, good,
thing.
good. My bad. I'm doing
I'm
because it's
sorry
like
I don't talk fast enough for you. I'm
yeah,
sorry I
no,
don't
no.
talk
It's
fast
not
enough.
that. Is that you're saying that it's the origins or something, and I'm saying, brother, just show me the part where Joseph is the father of Jesus. That's all. It
Are you
plainly
still with me
says.
on verse 1?
It plainly says Abraham begot Isaac. It plainly
Are you
says
still with me
Isaac
on verse
begot Jacob. It plainly says Jacob begot Judas. Can you plainly read to us where it says
1?
Joseph,
I could plainly read where it says the book of the Genesis
right, right,
of the Genesis
right,
of the Messiah,
right,
right? Of the
right,
Messiah,
right. Got it.
right?
Got it. Now show us the Joseph Messiah connection.
Okay. So wait a minute. So wait a minute. So we're gonna talk about his origin.
Right. Well, yeah, it
We're
lists
gonna
Mary as
skip
his
that.
origin. Right, right. But it lists Mary as the
We're
mother.
gonna,
Right.
we're gonna, we're gonna talk about a son of David.
Right.
We're gonna
Mary's
talk
from
about
David.
sons of
Right.
Abraham.
Right. Mary's from Abraham. Go ahead.
I mean, we still talking about his origin,
Right. Through his mom. I got
what
it.
what what he's derived from.
Got it. His mother. Keep going.
So this is seed. This is bloodline talking right here.
Uh right,
Before
right.
we
Through his
even jump,
mom. Right. His mom bleeds. Go ahead.
I know you keep saying his mom, but we in verse 1, my brother.
Yeah.
Slow
So
down.
show me Joseph, my brother. Show me
Calm
Joseph.
down.
No, because
Calm down.
okay,
I
brother,
mean, you
you're
asked me for my
saying
answer.
blood, you're saying origin, you're
Stop
saying
waiting for it.
genealogy. Can you say
Hey,
Joseph?
my brother.
Yeah,
Hey, my brother.
right.
If you ask me for a question, you're not waiting for the answer.
Go ahead.
I mean, I'd rather not go back and forth with you, young man.
Okay,
You
so
know?
go ahead, brother. Go ahead. I just want you to show me Joseph. You're saying everything but Joseph.
Well, my brother. Saying the son of David ain't saying Joseph to you?
That's what it says to you.
Saying the son of Abraham ain't saying Joseph to you?
Wait, so when you
Levi
read,
paid tithes to Abraham. That ain't
no,
saying
it
one man to
to his
you?
mother. I just said you. Okay, so you had a chance to
I
go.
know
You
you
asked
keep
me a
saying
question.
brother, bro, but we in verse 1.
Right.
Slow your mind down. We in verse 1.
No, you got to catch up.
Let's grab the origin. Let's grab the source. You skipping all of this.
This guy said the son of David
Skipping
include
all of
Joseph.
this.
Bro, where do you
You're
read
skipping
Joseph?
all
You
of this.
just said David and Abraham. I didn't read Joseph. Can you show us Joseph,
You
please?
skipping all of this.
Can you just read? Can you show us
You
Joseph,
skipping
please?
all of this.
Huh?
How you skipping all of this? You showed me this. You showed me this bloodline of men here. You brought me
No,
here.
no. There's five women here. So you just lied. There's five women
And
here.
bro, you
Can you just show us Joseph? That's all I want you to. You're reading Abraham, David. Can you read Joseph, please?
bro, I'm in verse 1, man. You brought
Okay.
me to this
Okay.
chapter, and then you
Show.
asked me
Okay.
to take
Good.
you,
Good. Good. You're in verse 1. Can you read
and
the
you
name
said you
Joseph?
would be quiet
Okay,
and listen. You ain't
I
shut
got
up
it.
yet, bro.
I got it. I got
Is
it
this what you
because
wanted?
you're
You wanted me to
wasting
come to your
time.
platform and do this with you and go back and
Yo,
forth? Is that what you wanted?
bro,
Or did you want
bro.
to hear, brother, and have a discussion like you said at the beginning?
No, 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 no. Discussion's over. Show us Joseph, please.
All right,
You're
that's
wasting time.
cool. That's cool. So, hey, y'all have a good one. Have a good one.
You just made a fool of yourself. Okay, I'm not doing that with this guy. You, this guy said if you read Abraham, you read Joseph. You read David, you read Joseph. What? They're married, so they got a kid. But we read in Zacharias and Elizabeth, no kid. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that long. No, 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 no. I'm done with that. I'm done with the lead way. We're not doing that. Yada da has done for it. He gave me what I need. Okay. So Matt said he got a debate on so Matt, hey Meech, you might want to inbox Matt. Matt said he got a debate on if God are racist. So I told him, I said, bro, you better go get their definition of racist before you debate these guys. Okay. And he's not he's not communicating that he did that. So he's gonna find himself in some word soup. Look at this fool right here I'm talking to. This fool. This guy said, I read Abraham. Hold on. Hold on. If I get somebody else on. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna check that. I was so mad that they debated during the Sakari. I could not turn down the Sakari moment. I had to. I had to. I had to turn. I had to get it. So you says, look, you notice in private they let us talk, but in public they won't let you talk, and that's why Hassan, I record the phone calls. That's why you don't let us talk. Okay, so I'm gonna end my live. I'm gonna go over there, but I got a few more guys um, in line to talk to me tonight. So I have to keep going live. I'm promoting for my upcoming debate versus Tazariak. So I gotta stay active. I gotta be relevant. So Sanetta already knows that I'm promoting for my debate also. So I'm gonna go over there and listen for a little while until I get the next opponent up tonight. So man, thank you for reminding me. I kind of knew it already, but I forgot. But you reminded me again. So let me head over there, and I will be back. That's probably where everybody's at. But once I get another guy on, I'm back on my channel. I have to promote from my debate. I